Grand Rising, Elizabeth.
Grand Rising.
You know what? As we start this show, I think about, sometimes when you think about a person, it brings about a name or a word that describes them. And I want to describe my co-host because she came up, of course, right now, Nurse Stacy. And the word that comes up for me is gratitude. You might ask, teacher, why is gratitude arising when it comes to Nurse Stacy? Well, first of all, she is very knowledgeable. She is very caring, and brings, she cares about her community, and she is just a wonderful person. And so, she comes and shares things with us that can help us in our health. And I am very gracious. I mean, I think that's gracious, and I show gratitude this moment because I am very thankful because she's going to share some information today that's new to me. I mean, but it's important to me. And I mean, after speaking with her, I found out a little bit more. The title is Glycoproteins, what they are and why they matter. And I would love for you to sit back and listen to what she has to share because it can be very helpful. Okay, and I want to turn it over to you, Nurse Stacy.
Thank you for that introduction, Deetra. That was so kind. Your words were so appreciated. And I want to say today's topic, like it's new to you, Deetra, it's new to me as well. So I don't
Okay.
want anybody to think, oh, I know it all. I don't. But it was something that Deetra said last week when we were talking about stem cells that kind of jogged this whole topic of glycoproteins. And when I got off, I was like, what is a glycoprotein? Because it was so familiar. I'm like, I know what glyco is, like glucose, and I know what a protein is. So why do those two words come together? And I went and I looked it up and I'm like, wow, this is pretty deep. And it's an extension of what Dietrich was talking about last week in relations to the stem cells. So, like she said, we're going to talk about, let me go ahead and share my screen, glycoproteins, why they matter. Hold on, let me move this out the way. High floating controls. Why they matter. Nope, I gotta go back. Sorry. Sometimes it takes a second for it to recognize and go back. So anyway, that's the first slide. For some reason it won't. This is the second slide, but the first slide is glycoproteins, why they matter, what they are, and how they affect the body. So today's presentation focuses on the glycoproteins, one of the most influential yet least talked about classes of molecules in the human body. We often hear about proteins, fats, carbohydrates as classes, as separate categories, I'm sorry, but glycoproteins combine two of these together in a way that completely transforms biological function. And to me,
Mm,
it was so like eye-opening because they are involved in almost every major system: immune function, cellular communication, tissue structure, hormone regulation,
mm,
cell growth, and healing. That is so important. So, in this talk, I will clarify why glycoproteins are, what glycoproteins are, sorry, why they work, or how they work, and why we cannot survive without them,
mm.
and why they deserve far more recognition in medical science and everyday understanding in the body. So, what are glycoproteins? As you can see on the screen there, you probably read some of it already, but glycoproteins is simply a protein with a carbohydrate chain known as a glycan. Glycan, glycans. And glycans are basically sugar codes. They're like sugar antennas on the outside of the cells and proteins, and they function as sugar structures. So it's known as glycans attached to it. But that simple definition hides enormous complexity or complexity. These glycans do not serve as fuel. So you know how glucose is a fuel of our body? These glycans, even though they are sugar codes, they don't serve as a fuel for the body like glucose does, like carbohydrates do, like thick foods that we eat. That's not what their service is for. They don't serve as fuel like the sugars we eat. Instead, they act like information-rich molecule codes. I'll digest that for a second. They act like information-rich molecule codes. Just a few sugar molecules linked in different arrangements can communicate highly specific biological instructions. Now, keep that in mind when we talk about, as we go along, biological instructions. Glycoproteins function as identity markers, recognition tags, and communication signals. Very important. Most cells in the human body are covered in glycoproteins, allowing them to essentially speak, this is important, speak the biochemical language. And that biochemical language is necessary for coordination. It's necessary for cell to cell communication. So they're like, glycans are like chains or clusters of sugar molecules that are linked together, if you can just think of it that way. I don't know why this won't move forward. It has to move forward. Hold on a second. Maybe I'll go page down. It acts like it's just, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. No, what's going on? I don't like this. Let me pull it back up and see if it'll act right. Okay, it did. It was stuck. What did you want to say something, Deetra? Can you hear me, Deetra? You're muted, Deetra. You muted.
Okay, this makes a difference. But no, as you were talking, I was thinking about how the cells are arranged and communicating. And sometimes, I was just thinking to myself, if I can walk and talk and everything, that's all I cared about for all my life. I never cared about what was going on with the cells. So thank you for bringing that out, because that's important to know how they are working all the time.
All the time. Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to talk about how these glycoproteins are made. So glycoprotein production begins like any other protein. It has ribosomes, and ribosomes are the tiny protein making machines that are inside the cells, and they read genetic instructions. And so they build a chain, which is, the chain is after the fat and proteins are made, they build a chain of amino acids, which are small building blocks of protein. The amino acids are. But afterwards, the protein must pass through the endoplasmic reticulum. And I know I'm using some words y'all don't know nothing about, but it would be good to write some of these things down and say, hey, what is the endoplasmic reticulum? And then go look it up. So I did look it up a little bit. Endo means inside. Plasmic is the plasma. So it's inside the cell, endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. Now you say, what's the Golgi apparatus? A Golgi apparatus is the fats and proteins that are in the cell. So it's where the Golgi apparatus is where enzymes attach sugars in carefully controlled patterns. This process is called, here's another word, glycosylation. That's GLYCOSYLATION. The process glycosylation is incredibly precise. The type of sugar added, how many sugars, their order, the shape of the chain, and even the branching pattern all influence the final function of the protein. So you can see how all of this matters. One small error can change the protein stability. It can change the protein shape. It can change the protein's ability to bind to other molecules. And it can even change the destination inside the cell. And that's very important because I have something that I'll talk about a little bit later that is very related to this. It can change the destination inside the cell. Why? This is why disorders of glycosylation can have a devastating health effects. So another note I wrote to myself, it's cell inside the cell or cell signaling can be distorted. Immune recognition can fail. Inflammation can become excessive. Self versus non-self recognition. And that's where autoimmune comes in, when your own cells don't recognize your own cells and they fight against each other. All of that can get confused, and tissue repair can weaken, and autoimmune activity can increase. So where glycoproteins are found, as you can see, where they're found in the immune system, hormones and cytokines, cell membrane, extracellular matrix, which is tissue support, and proteins. Glycoproteins are everywhere. They sit on the surface of immune cells, helping them distinguish friend from foe.
Okay.
They line the gut. Now that's very important because we know our gut health is everything. Our microbiome, what we stick in our mouth is everything. They line the gut, the lungs, and blood vessels. They circulate through the bloodstream. Yeah, acting as hormones, antibodies, and transport proteins. This is deep. To me, this is so deep. I don't know if it's deep to you guys, but to me, this is so deep. They form part of the extracellular matrix, the structural scaffolding that holds tissues together like a glue. Even the reproductive system relies heavily on glycoproteins. For example, the egg and sperm recognition. Now, you know that's important.
Yeah, that's important.
Egg and sperm got to recognize each other, right?
Right.
The egg and sperm recognition depends on glycoproteins to ensure species-specific interactions. Like you can't have a cat trying to mate with a dog. You know what I mean? It has to recognize these interactions. Their presence across so many systems show how fundamental they are to life processes. That is so deep. Glycoprotein is the finished protein after the sugar chain is attached. So why glycoproteins matter? Oh, they matter. Glycoproteins influence nearly every important function in the body. They help cells recognize and connect with each other. allowing tissues to form. You can imagine that when a baby is born, you know, how all their tissues have to come together. They
Yeah.
create immune cells to the right targets. How good, how that is, this is blowing my mind. And they help distinguish between healthy and dangerous cells.
Uh-huh.
They help proteins fold properly because proteins, they do have to fold the right way or they'll just be mutated and they'll be unstable. They hold them
Mm.
fold, they help them fold properly, remain stable, and avoid being degraded.
Mm.
They regulate inflammation and healing. They also play a major role in communicating between cells, ensuring that signaling or signals that receive or that the signals are received correctly. How important is that? If we think of the body like a city, the glycoproteins are the infrastructure,
Okay.
the communication lines, ID systems, and building material all in one. Now, the communication, glycoprotein in cell, inside the cell. So it's in the cell communication. Cells constantly send and receive signals. Glycoproteins act as anchors and tags that determine how these signals work. For example, cell surface glycoproteins determine blood type. I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Mm.
That determine your blood type, which is why mismatched blood transfusions cause severe reactions. You go in
Oh,
and you got to have a transfusion and they give you the wrong blood. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Because it is foreign to it, you know, it's
right.
mismatched. And the immune system recognized the foreign glycoprotein markers, which is good because I heard when I was going to nursing school that if they give you the wrong blood, you have a reaction right away. And there are some things that they can do to reverse that reaction.
Mm.
Glycoproteins also control how the immune system attach to infected cells,
Mm.
how nerves forms connections, and how tissues maintain order. Without this communication system, cells would behave independently. Imagine that, your cells acting out on their own. They
Mm.
behave
Rogue.
independently, yeah, chaotically, leading to disease and structural breakdown.
Mm.
It's so important for these cells to have cell to cell communication, for these signals to be received within the cells themselves, because a lot of things could go wrong. So, glycoproteins in the immune system. So, antibodies are glycoproteins. How about that? Many cytokines are glycoproteins. Glycans on the cells help immune recognition, and changes can trigger autoimmune responses,
Mm.
which is pretty deep here. So the immune system depends heavily on glycoproteins, antibody proteins that neutralize pathogens. So the antibody proteins that neutralize pathogens are the glycoproteins. Their sugar chains help determine how effectively they bind targets and how long they remain active. Immune cell receptors use glycoproteins to detect viruses,
Mm.
bacteria, and also abnormal cells. Many pathogens attempt to hide. Now, ain't that something how a pathogen can attempt to hide in your body? Then they
Mm.
hide themselves by modifying their own glycoprotein to mimic yours.
Wow.
Now, how weird is that?
Mm.
They modify their own glycoprotein, an invading pathogen. Ooh, that's deep.
That is.
That is deep. They modifying their own glycoprotein to mimic yours.
Mm. Mm.
So when glycoproteins are altered, the immune system may attack the wrong target.
Wow.
Isn't that something? They may attack
Yes.
the wrong target or fail to respond at all. Just won't do nothing. And then the autoimmune disease often involves dysfunctional signaling, showing how essential accurate glycosylation is. I'm learning a lot today. I don't know about you guys, but I
I
am
am too.
learning.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like, what's her name? I forget her name. She says a lot. Oh, on the show, Karamo, he says that a lot.
Yeah.
He says a lot. I am learning a lot.
Teacher's
So,
hand is up.
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just want to share when you talked about the sales going rogue. I was just thinking how we have 100,000 cells in our body, and our body is huge. I mean, believe it or not, all the spaces they can go, the cells can do different things. I'm so glad and thankful that they've been going along doing the good things so far. So
Yeah.
that I know of.
Them cells in order. Them cells are circulating through the bloodstream. They're in every
I
organ
know
of the body.
everywhere.
And man, but just to learn about these glycoproteins and how
Right.
they work in the body is totally mind blowing to me. It's very, really
Yes.
mind blowing to me. So glycoproteins and cytokines. Cytokines. Cytokines are messengers of the immune system. Often and are often glycoproteins. So that word again, glycosylation, influences their shape, how stable they are in the bloodstream, how effectively they reach their receptors. Now everything has a receptor on it, and that's how everything works, and how intensely they activate immune response. So poorly glycosylated cytokines may degrade quickly or fail to signal, weakening immunity. Over glycosylated cytokines, mean too much of it, may stay active too long, contributing to chronic inflammation. So glycosylation also affects how cytokine therapies such as interferons, I know you guys heard of interferons, right?
Yes.
Interferons used in viral infections or cancer. So let me read that again. Glycosylation also affects how cytokine therapies such as interferons used in viral infections or cancer behave in the body. This makes glycoproteins crucial in both natural immune function and medical treatments. So the interferon is like our body's warning signal. They are proteins made by your immune system that help your body fight viruses, infections, and abnormal cells. It tells the nearby cells, danger is here. Protect yourself. Activate the immune response. It's like an antiviral defense. This is how these cells communicate. Like me and you communicate, we go back and forth, we say things back and forth. These cells talk to each other. They have these tags attached. They have these signaling. They have all of this stuff going on. And I did not know that these cells communicated like that. And it's cell to cell communication. So important. Glycoproteins and tissue structure. Yeah. So beyond communication, glycoproteins are essential for physical architecture. Proteins like laminin, and laminin is like a glue to your cells. It makes them stick together. They help the cells stick and grow and help the cells communicate. So laminin, collagen, and fibronectin are either glycoproteins themselves or interact closely with glycoproteins. The molecules form a structural matrix that holds tissues together. And that's important for somebody, especially for someone who's laying in the bed and they can't turn themselves and they end up getting bed sores and stuff like that. Is really important in that structure, holding those tissues together. They guide cell movement, help cells attach to one another, and maintain the integrity of skin, muscles, organs, and blood vessels. In wound healing, glycoproteins act like a scaffold that tells cells where to go and how to rebuild that tissue. Without them, tissues would be fragile, disorganized, and unable to repair damage effectively. That's another deep thing. So it affects the organ's integrity. Why we need glycoproteins? Okay, there we can see it. Without them, cells can't communicate. Without them, the immune system can't identify threats. Without them, hormones and cytokines can't work. And then tissues can't stay organized, and development becomes disrupted. We need the glycoproteins for survival because they regulate life-sustaining processes. Cells cannot communicate or cooperate without them. Hormones and cytokines cannot function. Immune cells cannot recognize pathogens. Tissues cannot maintain their structure. Development during pregnancy and childbirth or childhood depends heavily on glycoproteins to guide organ formation. And that's important as a child grows. You know, the organs have to form, they have to get larger. You know, you don't want to have your heart stay the same size as you grow. You don't want your liver to get over enlarged. You know what I'm saying? It is so important. Development during pregnancy and childhood depends heavily on glycoproteins to guide organ function. Think of glycoproteins as the operating systems of the body. Okay. Unseen, but responsible for coordinating everything. Hey, I see your hand up. Welcome.
Hello.
Good to see you.
I know, good. This is great information. What is interesting, it says the body is self-maintaining and can heal itself. That's what this is really saying. The body has the ability to heal itself.
Yes.
Yeah. And as a universe inside of us that we have, and it's a life force that sustains it.
Yes. And it's communicating well and it's giving the right instructions. Our body has the ability to heal itself. And this is why this is so easy to me, learning about glycoproteins. It's like, it's really blowing my mind.
Yes.
I'm learning so much from this.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So without them, nearly every system would collapse. Bottom line. What happens when glycoproteins go wrong? Ooh, immune disorders. Oh, we know about that one. When glycoproteins malfunction, make sure I'm on the right slide, the result can become very severe. Congenital disorders of glycosylation affect the brain, the liver, the muscles, and immune system. And so, as I was saying earlier, these congenital disorders, I was actually born with a congenital disorder. And that's one of the reasons why this is very important to me, because I'm learning more about the genetic mutation that I was born with. And I didn't even know I was born with this until let me see, how old was I? 2010 is when I found out that I had this genetic mutation. And the only reason why I knew about it is because I demanded them to do a test for me, because my twin sister had a history of blood clots. Now, the genetic mutation I was born with is called factor V Leiden. And my twin sister had developed a blood clot in her lungs, and they put her on blood thinners. Many years after that, like say maybe 4 or 5 years later, she threw 4 blood clots in her lung at one time. When they did the x-rays, they told her that she had 4 blood clots, 1 in each lobe, upper and lower, the upper 2 and the lower 2, 4 blood clots. And it was so crazy because at that time when they did that, they told her that you're going to have to be on blood thinners for the rest of your life because you threw these clots. But what they didn't tell her was that she had factor V Leiden. So right after my sister passed away, and she didn't pass away for anything regarding this factor V Leiden or factor V Leiden, I ended up in the hospital. And I ended up in the hospital because I had a blood clot. And what I noticed was my right thigh, not my thigh, my right calf was stiff. And when I would flex it, it didn't hurt, it just felt tight. And me as a nurse, I knew what that meant, that there could be a blood clot there. Even though it wasn't any pain or swelling or no redness, I knew what it meant, so I decided to get it checked out. And when I got it checked out, they said that I had a blood clot in my lung, a very small blood clot. I didn't even know I had through it. It was that small. And so they put me in the hospital. They put me on blood thinners, because usually when you go in the hospital, they automatically put you on a blood thinner called heparin. And then when they get you therapeutic, what they put me on was Coumadin. And so while I was in the hospital, I told them, I said, my twin sister threw clots twice, and she's on blood thinners for the rest of her life. I need y'all to do a test to determine whether or not I have the same thing. And what they told me is, okay, we can do that, but we have to wait until we get done with the heparin, because we can't do the test until you're finished with certain medications. And then we can draw the test, because certain medications would not make the test come out right. So when they did it, they told me I had factor V Leiden, that genetic mutation. And then I knew I was going to be on blood thinners for the rest of my life. So many bleeding disorders involve glycoproteins because clotting factors require proper glycosylation. Autoimmune conditions can arise when glycoproteins are misinterpreted by the immune system. Viruses often hijack glycoproteins to invade cells or evade defenses. For example, the influenza and HIV rely heavily on their glycoprotein structures. Glycoprotein deficiencies also impair wound healing and increase susceptibility to infection. These conditions underscore how vital these molecules really are. So why glycoproteins must be seen as important? Despite their importance, glycoproteins are often overlooked in discussions of health and biology. I'm 64 and I'm just now learning about it. I've been a nurse for over 16 years. I'm just now learning about it. We frequently talk about DNA. We talk about proteins. We talk about hormones and cells, but glycoproteins connect all of these systems. Medical research increasingly recognizes their role in cancer, inflammation, immune disorders, neurodegeneration, and regenerative medicine. So understanding glycoproteins helps scientists design better drugs, improve vaccines, and engineer more effective stem cell therapies. Like we were talking about last week, stem cell therapies. Appreciating glycoproteins is key to understanding how the body truly functions on a system level. Whew. So we're going to go ahead and sum this up, and we're going to end a little early today. The summary is that glycoproteins are proteins with attached sugars. They control communication, immunity, and tissue health. They affect nearly every major system. Their importance is growing in research and medicine, and understanding them helps explain how the body maintains efficiently. And to wrap it up, they're modified proteins, modified with carbohydrate. Let me say that again. Glycoproteins are proteins modified with carbohydrate chains that give them specialized ability. They drive communication, support immunity, form tissue structure, guide development, maintain homeostasis. Don't we like that word, Deetra?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, when they fail, nearly every system is affected. And by understanding glycoproteins, we gain insight into fundamental biology and open doors to better medical treatments. They deserve recognition as central players in human health, powerful, precise, and essential to life.
Great show. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to bring us back together. Again, my screen. There we go. There we go. I did it.
Yay.
Bringing us all together. Yes. This was so enlightening to me. Does anybody have any takeaways that they'd like to share real quick? Gotta have some takeaways. This is
Oh, yeah. I definitely do. This was very enlightening. Like I said before, I've been speaking throughout the show. So, but one thing that really stands out to me is that this presentation really stresses how there's a lot going on in the body that we don't sometimes realize that's happening, but it's very important. And that the more we know about those little things that's going on behind the scenes, we can speak really clearly to our doctors or whoever is looking at our health or helping us with it. We can speak very intelligently about it.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's so important to realize that everything affects, like the environment, what we eat, stress, everything that goes on in our life could affect how these glycoproteins receive signals and how they act. And I am more and more after studying this, and I want to go because I thought I went into a rabbit hole, but not really, not compared to the rabbit holes I usually go down, but
right.
I'm more and more wanting to be able to eat more healthy.
Yeah.
Pay more attention to what I stick in my body.
Yeah.
How all of these foods that are engineered, what do you call it, processed foods with all of these different chemicals in it that are
they allow, and we don't even know what's going on until after the fact. We're in a very toxic environment, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, and it affects us.
Yeah, and all of those things that are in processed food, if you read them, Some of them have labels so long, you don't even know what they are. I call them science experiments. So if you're taking all of these processed uh, ingredients, toxic ingredients, and you put them in your body, what is the glycoproteins going to do in your body, and how are they going to act, and how is your body going to receive this cell-to-cell communication, and what is it going to cause to happen in your body? So it's so important that we really, really pay close attention to be an avid ingredient reader of food. Look at the back of your bags and just read the ingredients that are in your foods. So
between the food and the farmer and big farm, we have to do something preventive to make sure we're well, because they're both working against us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So does
Yeah,
anybody?
Stacy, well, one is I didn't know that they automatically, I guess, give you blood thinners when you come in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's a general practice of theirs.
Yeah, it is. If you're going to be in bed for a long time, it's their responsibility to give you what is called a heparin shot, so that you're laying there, especially if you can't get up and go nowhere, you're just there. You don't throw a blood clot, because they don't know who is susceptible to a blood clot. So they have to keep your blood thin enough, not too thin, but thin enough to prevent blood clots while you're laying in the bed and not able to get up.
And the other question I have, when you said you asked them to you demanded that they give you that test.
Yeah.
Did you have to pay separate from that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I told them, I said, my twin sister threw 5 clots, and she's on blood thinner for the rest of her life. And I just threw a clot. I want to know why. I did know that I had an antibody in my blood. I was always told that. And my mom told me when I was young, she had to rush me to the hospital because I turned purple when I was a baby. They didn't know why. They knew I had an antigen in my blood that was different than anybody else's, but they never identified it as factor B Leiden. And it wasn't until I was in my 50s. No, actually, I was 48. I was 48 years old when I found out that I had this genetic mutation. And some people may have it and not even know it. I even told my children, I said, y'all need to go get tested to see if y'all have this genetic mutation, because I don't know where it came from in my genes, but it's somewhere in the genes. And so sometimes we can have things going on in our body and we don't know where it came from.
I was thinking about you earlier, and why did you work in the hospital or in the industry as a nurse, and why did you stop if you did?
Okay, so when I graduated from nursing school, in nursing school, we do what we call clinical. So you work in the hospital. So I worked in the VA hospital where people had mental disorders. I've worked in long-term care facilities where people come in and they're going to be there for the rest of their life. I worked in hospice. I didn't get a job in the hospital, but when I was doing my clinicals, I had to do what they call med surge or medical surge 1 and medical surge 2, which means that you have to get practice as a student nurse on all of these people that come in the hospital with whatever they come in the hospital for. So I did get that experience, but I knew right off that I did not want to do that. Even in the maternity ward, I had to do maternal. There's certain parts of when you become a nurse, you have to do certain what they call clinicals. And where I really wanted to work, where I thought I really wanted to work was, I did really, in mother baby, because it was so exciting to me to see a mom have a baby and to see that whole process of life being brought into the world. And I wanted to be in that so bad. And I got an A in the class, the only class I got an A in. But it was the only place that a new graduate nurse could not work. Because you are dealing with 2 lives. And in order for them to allow you to deal with 2 lives, you had to get some previous experience in that surge, working on the floors in the hospital with a lot of other people, proving that you can take care of one person before they will allow you to take care of two at one time.
All right.
So I did have the experience. And right now I practice as a registered nurse case manager, where I manage care for people injured in motor vehicle accidents. And so I coordinate their care as far as going to their doctor's appointments, scheduling transportation with them, making sure that the head to toe assessment is completed, that every part of the accident, whatever injury she had or they had in the accident, is taken care of, whether it's a broken bone, a closed head injury, you hit your head, your spine is, you got a slip disc or a bulging disc or a herniated disc, whether your nerves are affected, all of these different areas has to be identified. And then I have to make sure that the coordination of care is put in place, that they see every doctor that is associated with every part of their body that was affected by the accident. So that's where I move in now. And I like it because it allows me to have my own autonomy. I own my own business and I can work it on my own time. I can choose to have 10 clients. I can choose to have one. I can have 20. I can open up a business and hire nurses to work for me and give them all the clients while I sit at home and collect money. I like being a case manager right now, but most of all, I like teaching. Teaching is one of my most passionate things that I like doing. I like teaching. I like learning, because when I was told in my first semester in nursing school that when you join nursing school, when you finish and you become a nurse, your job is not done. You're going to be learning for the rest of your life. And it's your responsibility to learn as science develops and new things come along the line. It's the nurse's responsibility to be updated on that whole process and make sure that they continue their education in that area.
Now, is there continued education as far as what's that is required that you take throughout your life?
Nope. What you have to do is the continuing education that is required is basically every 2 years when it's come times for you to renew your license.
Oh, okay. You got to renew your license.
Oh, I have to renew my license every 2 years. So I have to go back and do what's called continuing education, but I can do it on my own. It's not like I have to go in and sit in a class. I can choose what I want to do. But the one main thing that is required of us every time we renew our license is we must take a course on pain, because pain is one of the things that are recognized as something that is severe to the point that most people don't realize that pain is what the patient says it is. Because a lot of people get judged because if they get addicted to pain medication, they call it addiction instead of dependence. And it's wrong for someone to be in excruciating chronic pain that's going to last for the rest of their life, for somebody to come by and judge you and say that you're addicted, instead of understanding what they're going through in the pain process and saying that you're not addicted, you're dependent on this medication to get you out of pain. So that's one of the things that we must do. And we can choose the other topics that are at interest to us that we want to get continuing education on. Did you have a question?
The thing about nursing, you have to be apply it to you to do well, because a lot of people that in healthcare, they take care of everybody else and neglect themselves. So you have to really incorporate this into your way of life too. Working in healthcare, working in psychiatry and substance abuse, this is what a guy said. People smoking weed and smoking myself at that time, smoking cigarettes and smoking weed, but trying to get everybody else good. You have to put this into practice yourself, okay? Because you cannot be a good advocate if you're not putting it into you.
Yeah. That is so true. It's like,
wait.
Well, I'm just saying, you have to practice what you preach.
I got to get that. So are you saying, I'm just trying to make sure I heard you right.
Hello?
Yeah. So are you saying that they do better? So if a person does not do weed or smoke and stuff, and they're in that field, they do better if they have experienced it, they can help them better, or Am I saying this right?
Hello?
Did I hear it right?
Yeah,
I,
they so
um,
I think it was my internet that connection that was unstable. Now, what did you say?
I was wondering what Calvin was saying. Are you saying that it's better if a person, if they're counseling for drug abuse
uh,
or cigarettes, they smoke cigarettes and stuff, that they're better at doing it if they've experienced it other rather than those who have not experienced drugs or smoking cigarettes and stuff?
well, no, what I was saying, this what came up during the discussion.
Uh-huh.
The client was saying people smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
two things that are detrimental to you. But I'm saying, as a healthcare provider, at the time I was smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana, I said, wow, why are you going to continue to do these things, breaking your body down?
Mhm,
So I'm saying, as a healthcare worker, what you learn, your clients are your best asset because they're showing you things that you need to know about yourself.
mhm,
Years ago in geriatric psych, a guy came in there. He was about the age I am now, 70 something. He said, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
mhm,
So really, you're dealing with people that have health challenges, but you're human too. You have
mhm,
to take inventory of yourself. How are you living? How you feel? Are you doing the best to maintain the quality of your life? And you may not be
mhm,
because you have your own conundrum that you're dealing with, but you're not above the rules of engagement. So really, working in healthcare can make you a better person if you receive it and look at it and say, "I'm no different than these clients or these patients. I'm vulnerable to everything that they're going through because we're all human." So I'm an advocate for them, but neglect myself, and that can happen.
That
Mm.
is so true. You can't
Yeah.
even imagine, especially in hospitals, how stressed out nurses are. That's why I
Yeah,
never wanted to work in the hospital because they'll give you too many patients. And even in long-term care, I worked in long-term care. And when I tell you one nurse to 30 patients, 15, 20, 30 patients, not 30, to 15 to 20 patients, one nurse, and you have
Wow.
to take care of all of those patients. And you
and
got
you're
to pick
doing it
the right
every
job.
day,
You got to do it every day. And it's so stressful.
and you come home to your
Nurses,
family.
yep, and nurses end up not eating right,
Yeah,
not exercising,
that's
because when
right.
they get home, they tired.
They're
They
tired.
don't want to deal with it. Da, da, da. And I told one nurse, she was the LPN.
Hmm.
When she came on, I said, you know what? I'm not going to be here long. She's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to open up my own business. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, watch. And I was so determined to do that. And because I'm not going to work as a nurse and be stressed out and not be able to take care of myself. I
Your
was
quality of
ready
life is
for
not
that.
good.
I
You're
was
you're
mad
working
ready.
like a machine,
Mhm.
and I see them running and they break themselves down. How could you not?
It's
Yeah, I
so
know
addictive.
my cousin, she worked in at receiving.
Hmm.
Mhm.
She's one of the head nurses there, and she was just sharing how so many of the doctors, that they were getting high and on coke and cocaine and everything else just to maintain
That
all the stuff that they
lifestyle,
had to
that
do.
grind.
But so you don't know what they're on while they're operating on you and stuff.
You don't. I
Yeah.
remember when I worked on the neurology floor as a certified nurse assistant. This was before I went to school to be a nurse. And you know those pain pumps that they put attach people and you can push the button whenever you're in pain to get pain
Yeah.
gone. Do you know that when they discontinue those, they're supposed to throw them away? Do you know that those doctors and nurses were taking that medication and taking it themselves? They were taking it from there and using it, and they were hiding it. You know how in the basement you put those ceiling tiles up so that you don't see
Hmm.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
Hmm.
basement? They were hiding those things up in the ceiling, and they found a lot of them. I'm like, wow. It's like if we catch any of you guys doing this, if we find out who the one who did this, they were going to lose their job because nurses and doctors are so addicted
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
these medications. It's crazy.
Look at the grind that they go through to become a doctor or nurse.
Yeah,
It's crazy. They never get any rest.
right.
They're at the hospital. They're in school in the hospital around the clock. They break down. They get used to all that craziness. So really, it starts in school.
Yeah, that's why I said I was never going to go back to school. I said, I got my RN, I got an associate. People like, don't you want your bachelor's? Don't you want to be a nurse practitioner? Heavenly days, no. Because whatever I want to learn, I can learn it on my own without spending more money and being in the thick of it and being stressed out about paying somebody to teach me something when I can go and learn it for myself. So I'm like, no way, I'm not going to put myself under any more stress. I love the nursing I do right
That's
now.
right.
So
That's
many
right.
different ways.
Because you're teaching more than you're teaching. Because it's personal. You get to know them, and you learn them, and they learn you.
Absolutely. That's important to me because my health is important to me. My health matters to me. And I am so like in the vein of making sure that I am responsible up here about knowing what I stick in my mouth.
And having
I know when
perimeters.
I'm eating certain things and I'll be like, oh, Lord, should not be eating this, but it tastes so good. But then you have in your mind to say, I'm going to stop eating this. I'm going to stop doing this. Because there's certain things that you can eat. Food is designed to do one or two things: give you energy or take it away.
Yes.
If you eat something and you feel like going to sleep afterward and you laying on the couch, believe me, that's something that you may not want to keep eating because it's supposed to give you energy. It's not supposed to take it away from you.
The chicken sandwich they had years ago, they found that people was killing, fighting, and lying about. It was chemically laced. Um, the chicken that they were standing in line all day long and fighting, but they said it was chemicals in them that were addictive. They called almost like crack in it.
That
So we don't know
is it called Chick-fil-A? What's that one place?
whatever it
Yeah, that was
was.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is real.
They have over 30 some ingredients in that chicken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And you
people are
don't
swarming
know.
to it because it tastes so good.
But we're being challenged every day. Then they tell you years later what's going on. They don't tell you about the data that's being breached. They don't tell you about the food that's challenged. They don't tell you about the medication that they have a recall on until they make billions of dollars. Okay. But they know from the outset that it's going to have something that's adverse about it, but they still give it to us.
Because they have to do the studies. And this
on
is what
us.
I found out recently. They have to do the studies on these drugs to prove that, okay, so they have to do it on mice because, okay, how much of this medication can I give a mice before he dies? You're not going to know it until the rat is dead.
Yes.
And they say, okay, so this, we can't go beyond this. And so this is how they prove that, okay, the Food and Drug Administration can now put this drug on the market because now we have proven the efficacy of this drug and how much we can give a patient before they die from it.
That's right.
Gosh.
But a lot of people, they'll tell you, if you see the commercials, you can happen this, this, and this, and this. And so it's all there. It's all written. It's all synthetic drugs that they put into your body, knowing that you're going to have an adverse effect, that it's not going to do right over a long term period of time. You taking these drugs over years and years and years. What's it going to do to your body? Anybody can take any drug that they're on and Google it. Go to ChatGPT and say, what is the long-term effects of being on this drug? And we'll be amazed at what will happen to us as a long-term effect. I know about the ones I'm on. That's why I'm trying to get off of them.
Synthetic remedies for organic people.
Yes.
It don't matter. It does not. We're organic. We're
better.
like you said. Everything from this, we're supposed to heal. Our body can do what it do, but we have positions so it can. Our mind, our physical, and we have to realize that we have to be grounded, and we're not.
Mind, body, soul, and spirit.
That's right.
Every aspect of our being. So we're going to have to cut off. We are over time here. I thank everybody for stopping in and joining on this very important topic of glycoproteins and how it affects our body, the cell-to-cell communication, and what it does. So we're going to love on our bodies and make sure that our cells are able to communicate with each other.
Right. That's
let's
right.
give ourselves a hug. Love on ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
We needed this.
Yeah, we're going to give the world a hug. Bring them in close. Give them a squeeze. Love them and sprinkle that love.
Thank you.
World.
Thank you.
You guys go and have a blessed day on purpose. And tomorrow we got Lakeisha LeGrand, Madam
right.
Finance on Wealth Building Wednesday.
All
So
right.
tune in tomorrow for her show. And you guys
Thank you.
have a blessed day.
God bless. Thank you.
Peace out.
Peace out.